Hi YA nerds! It's been a while. I'm sorry about that. I'm also doing this a little bit different than usual. As you can see, my favorite bookcase is behind me with all of my graphic novels. And now you won't see the cat jumping around the room anymore. Although I'm sure many of you found that very entertaining. But the best news is, I'm back! School's over! Yay! So now I can get back to recording, and I don't know if any of you saw the comment that I made, the public comment. I want to try to make this a weekly thing, so I'm gonna record like a bunch of episodes probably like in one afternoon and just upload them every week, which I know a lot of YouTubers do and they don't admit to it. So I figured it would be like the best way to do this. So that means I'm gonna be reading like 52 books a year. Can do it. I've actually updating you guys on everything. I've read over 100 graphic novels this past semester, so I may or may not be talking about like all of them at some point or another. I've already written a bunch of reviews for them that you can find online. I now have a Twitter. You can follow that. I will try to update that as I update this channel. Unfortunately, my Instagram is kind of dead, so there's that. And yeah, I also decided to come back this month because it is Pride Month, and I have a lot of really great LGBTQA books that I want to talk about. So that being said, now that I've talked for 2 minutes straight about nothing you want to hear about, let's start the review. Today I'm talking about Chaotic Good, and this is by Whitney Gardner. And look how adorable that cover is. OMG. So cute. So, let's talk about it. So the cool thing about this book is it's only 256 pages, really quick read, and I mean that in a good way. And it was published March 13th of this year, 2018, which was only 3 days after my birthday. So I kind of considered this book like a birthday present to myself and put it on my TBR list to be read. And then, yeah, so here it is. I'm going to read to you guys the plot from the inside. Soon-to-be senior Cameron hopes to complete her costume portfolio away from the online abuse she has endured since winning a cosplay contest dressed as a character from a game she's never played. Unfortunately, the only comic shop in her new town, her main destination for character reference, is staffed by a dude bro who challenges every girl who comes into the shop. At her twin brother's suggestion, Cameron borrows a set of his clothes and uses her costuming expertise to waltz into the shop as Boy Cameron, where she's shocked at how easily she's accepted into the nerd inner sanctum. Before she can say Demogorgon, Cameron finds herself drafted into a D&D campaign alongside the dude bro, a friendly, almost flirtatiously so clerk, a handsome dungeon master, and her brother Cooper, dragged along for good measure. But as her secret identity gets more and more entrenched, Cameron's portfolio falls by the wayside, and her feelings for her DM threaten to make a complicated situation even more precarious. Cosplay, comic shops, and college applications collide in this geek girl anthem from Your Welcome Universe author Whitney Gardner, complete with fully illustrated comic pages by Gardner herself. So, that's the plot of Chaotic Good. Stumbled over that real good. You can see how I'm totally not with it right now. It's been so long since I've done a review, guys. It will get better. It will get better from here. Anyway, so this sugar sweet book kind of like caught me at a good time. Like I said, I had heard of it before and the cover really grabbed my attention. So I swiped it off the shelf at the library. I checked it out. I did the right thing. And I read it. I have another library edition here. You can see the sticker on the side. And, you know, I really am super glad I picked up this book. It was adorable. I plowed through it in, I think, like 2 or 3 days. 2 days, probably. And that was with, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Marathon reading. When I read a book, I usually read it for like 2 or 3 hours, get bored, move on to something else. I have way too many hobbies to just stick with reading like one thing for 6 hours. Just don't do it. But every once in a while, a book like this will just grab my attention, and all of a sudden I've been reading for 8 hours and not realizing it. I mean, it didn't take me 8 hours to read this book. It's 256 pages. It really took me, I don't know, 5, maybe less, maybe more. Also, the plot did say that there are comic pages inside, which I also really love. Being a comic nerd, it kind of like worked together for me, especially since she's hanging out in a comic book shop. I also kind of really identified with Cameron's situation, you know, working on a portfolio, going to an art school, etc. But also like her situation with the online harassment. It's not something I've experienced, thank goodness, but it's something I've worried about in the past. You know, I run a YouTube channel, you see my face, and, you know, like, God forbid I say something someone doesn't like, or I comment on somebody's favorite book and all of a sudden there's death threats. And Cameron's offense is really innocent. You know, she wants, her and her friends want to cosplay as the characters from Final Fantasy VII. One of her friends is obsessed with the game, so she makes the costumes. I think it's of Tifa, Cloud, and Aeris. I don't remember, don't quote me. And because she doesn't know who her character is that she's dressed up as, all of a sudden she's getting death threats online. And that's really sad that that's like what our world is now. It resolves itself really nicely in the book. You're just going to have to read it to find out how that happens. I also wanted to mention that the reason I'm talking about this book for my first Pride video, which is kind of what I'm doing for this month, I forgot to mention that earlier, is because Cameron's brother is gay. And there's also some conversations about, you know, why she dresses this way. Is it just because she, you know, doesn't want to be discouraged from coming to the comic book shop? Is it because maybe she's more comfortable this way, expressing herself this way? That conversation happens in there. And there's, you know, some issues that arise. There's another gay character in the book, so her brother's not like the token gay. There's a lot of really good diversity in this book, and I figured it was like a good little stepstone into the other books I want to talk about this month, which there are more. There's so many more. I may even start to do like 20 gay teen books or something, and just for the rest of this year do LGBTQIA books forever. I could probably do that, honestly. But anyway, so, you know, I really wanted everything to work out for Cam in the book, and I will say there's a happy ending to this book. You know, she falls in love with somebody, he may or may not fall in love back with her, and I also really enjoyed hearing about like her costuming. I used to be a costumer in a past life before I was a librarian, and I always really enjoyed certain aspects of that job. So, and I cosplay. You guys remember my Squirrel Girl cosplay. So, you know, I think a book like this is super up my alley because I'm a total nerd. And I go to conventions, I dress up, I play D&D. Shh, don't tell anybody. Actually, oh no, I'm not even gonna do it. I was gonna pull out my rule books. I have them. They're literally right there, but they're like underneath 16 other books, so not gonna happen. But, you know, I do all these things that nerds do, and so and I read comics, obviously, so I hang out in comic book shops, obviously. So this book really, like, reached out to me and, like, grabbed all of my interests, and Whitney Gardner, the author, just threw all of my interests into a book, shook it up, and handed it back to me like, enjoy! And I did. So I have to stop rambling now. We're gonna move on. For Tropes, again, it's been a while, and I'm sure, like, a lot of you probably don't remember, or if you do and you wish I would just shut up about it, it's never gonna happen. So I have a list of 37 tropes, I've counted, that I've come up with, whether it's from, you know, what I've seen online of other people's lists, the conversations I've had with other librarians, or just what I've noticed from my own reading of YA novels. So here are the tropes for this. If you don't remember what any of the definitions are, don't worry, I'm going to put them below in the description, so maybe one day you'll hear all of my tropes. For this book, we have love triangles, strong/smart female protagonist, clueless adults, Love at First Sight, and Only One Friend in the World. My rating for this book is a 9 out of 10. It only didn't get a perfect score because there were like some weird things that I didn't really like about like her online harassment. I don't think it went too far, but it was really crazy at one point and a little like too much just for me personally. So that's the only reason it gets like a negative thing. That's about it. And and because of that, like Cameron doesn't really like talk to anybody about it. And because I can't shut up to save my own life, I could never imagine somebody not turning to their twin brother and being like, hey, this thing's happening to me. And like, I understand her thinking behind it. You're just gonna have to read it. It gets a 9 out of 10. Read it anyway, because anything above like a 7, anything above a 6 that I rate, you should probably read and form your own opinion about anyway. That's all I'm gonna say about that. For my favorite part, there's a spoiler alert on this one, just to let you know. So my favorite part is when Link discovers that Cameron is a girl and they make out. It's really cute. It was like butterfly inducing, adorable. And I loved the way he found out. His grandmother owns the fabric store that Cameron frequents, and it's like coincidental, but it was adorable. And she gets his number from his grandma, and his grandma's looking for someone to sew a Mac together. A little weird. And she's like, sure. So she's calling him as she's walking to the fabric store, and he kind of was like, sure, I'm sure I'm gonna see you around. And she opens the door and he's there and they're on the phone together. It was really cute. So that's the big spoiler. I guess it's not that big because you kind of see it coming. It's adorable. For age range, I'm gonna say this book is good for 15, 16, 17 and older. Just because there's a lot of making out, little language here and there. And I feel like the situations, I don't think anyone younger than 15 would probably understand it. I could be wrong. Again, opinions aren't fact. That's just my opinion. So yeah, so that's all I have to say about Chaotic Good now that I've chewed your ears off for a little too long. And it's really good to be back. You will see more from me. And I guess that's all I really have to say. So feel free to subscribe and like and whatever. Follow me on Twitter. Find me on Instagram, although I never update it. And I'm going to start reviewing things on Goodreads as well. I'll give you guys all the links when I have everything up and running and whatever. And I guess that is it for me for now. So peace out, YA nerds.